Hello, this is Kaylin. Welcome to a video in the Home Accessibility series. In this series, I offer tools and tricks to help making home living and accessible cooking, cleaning, and laundry more available to the blind and low vision community. In this video, I will be talking about a series of cooking and baking tools that I use to make that process more accessible, and what I do when I do not have access to these amazing tools. First, we're going to talk about measuring cups and measuring spoons. This is obviously very, very important when cooking because you have to make sure that your ingredient proportions are correct, and I probably use these the most when I'm baking because you need to have a certain ratio between flour, sugar, brown sugar, vanilla essence, and other ingredients. So there are several different types of measuring cups on the market. One tool that I want to cover first is that what you do when you do not have access to an accessible pair. So usually in a standard set of measuring cups, you have 4 cups available. You have your biggest, which is 1 cup, your second biggest, which is a half a cup, your third biggest, which is a third of a cup, and then your smallest, which is a fourth of a cup. This is a good general rule that you can use when you don't know what the exact measurements are, but this is not super useful when you have the big, complicated sets that are often in commercial kitchens that have a lot more than just these measurements. They have an eighth of a cup. They may have measurements from outside of the US, so definitely keep that in mind when you are cooking elsewhere. I often cook in a commercial kitchen for a high school charity type club, and when I was there, I didn't have access to my tools specifically. So in terms of measuring cups, these are an amazing Braille set. This is what I typically use whenever I'm doing things in the kitchen. It's pretty easy to feel. You have the 1 and then division sign and then 4 for a fourth of a cup. And again, it's pretty standard and they're super comfortable. They do not have any sort of like interlocking ring, but they sit together nicely and they're very easy to put through the dishwasher. I often put them through the dishwasher. Yeah, they're super good. They are a kind of soft medium plastic. They're white and they have kind of a nice little pouring spout on the end of each cup. So this is a great Braille option. Now, for our large print people, I have a large print set. This was actually gifted to me by the Seeing Eye where I got my guide dog, so I do not have the specific link for this available, but I will find an alternative large print set to put in the description. So again, this has the standard fourth, third, half, and whole cups. This is actually used for us to get out the dog food in the correct measurements. So that's what these are mostly used for, but they are amazing. Large print options. They have a large number in the base of the cup, and then they also have a relatively small number on the handle. I personally don't love these because I can't quite see these, but they're a great option if you are medium to low vision and you want a not Braille option, or for those lovely people who don't know Braille, and that is a real thing, and these are important. So next I want to talk about measuring spoons. These are often coming in far, far larger sets than just 4. The set I'm about to show you has just 4, but there are some sets that again have measurements from outside of the US and a lot more detailed, smaller measurements, so it's not super easy to tell which is which when you're not able to access the labels. Here is the matching Braille set that goes with the cups I previously showed you. Again, they are a light white. They have kind of a soft plastic. They are attached by a ring at the bottom, and they kind of just pop in and out of this ring, which makes them super, super easy to chuck in the dishwasher and then put back on the ring. You don't ever lose the ring, which is sometimes tricky. Yeah, and they're super nice. There's 4. There's a tablespoon, a teaspoon, a half teaspoon, and a quarter teaspoon. So I typically always use this teaspoon for vanilla. Sometimes I use the half teaspoon for salt, and then this tablespoon is always used for larger ingredients, maybe like baking powder or certain sugar or things. So these are great, super, super useful, and super, super durable. They go through the dishwasher fine. I've been using these for quite a few years now, and they're still super sturdy. Now, the next thing to talk about is what happens when you have to do say like fluid ounces or weight based measuring. This is a standard glass beaker type thing. It has the liquid measurements on the side, and this is insanely inaccessible for pretty much anybody with low vision or blindness. So this is definitely not me recommending you a tool. This is me showing you what's out there. There is no real substitute for this, which is often an issue also in chemistry, because we cannot see what level the water is at. Even if these labels were in Braille, we can't see when the water lines up with the labels. So this is not super useful. That said, this can often be substituted by using a scale with it. I have a talking scale here, which I love, which I will be demonstrating with the use of this beaker here. So here's my talking scale. It's super simple. It has the scale plate, a little window for any fully sighted users or low vision users here. It has the on and off button, and then it has a units button. And these buttons are not Braille labeled, but there's only two, so it's pretty easy to memorize. And when I turn it on, you'll hear it talk.
0 milliliters.
Now it's set to milliliters. I can change the units if I want by pressing the leftmost button.
Unit gram.
Now it's in grams.
Unit pound.
Now it's in pounds.
Unit ounce.
Now it's in ounces.
Unit milliliter.
Now it's back to milliliters. This is super useful if you are trying to use measurements like this on the side. You can often substitute them for units with this. So I'm gonna place this large scale, this large beaker.
647 milliliters.
It says 647 milliliters. It says in a pretty stilted robotic voice, but especially with familiarity with screen readers, it's pretty understandable.
647 milliliters.
Now, if I want to say fill this jug with liquid or with a solid, and I want it to not count the jug itself, because this is heavy glass, it has a weight, I press the on and off button, which is the rightmost button again.
0 milliliters.
So now this is back to 0. So anything I put inside this lovely beaker will make this say only that weight and not the weight of the beaker itself. So I don't have anything liquid with me, but I will put the measuring spoons themselves in to demonstrate.
31 milliliters.
So this is 31 milliliters, which is pretty silly because you would never measure that in milliliters, but if I were to do, say, grams.
31 grams.
That's a little bit more reasonable. So
0 grams.
Then you saw it went back to 0. This is super, super basic, but super, super useful. I also plan to look into how this can be used for chemistry and other science-based courses. I am going to hold down the rightmost button to turn off the scale.
Power off.
Now it's off, and now this can be stowed in your kitchen like a regular scale would be. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about is the issue of trying to feel things and move things around when you cannot see exactly where they are. This is often an issue when, like, say, cooking in a pan, or even, I'm a huge fan of the air fryer, when trying to get things out of the air fryer, is that you kind of don't know how well things are done, because you, at least for me specifically, I like to feel. I kind of know when things are done, like if my tofu is cooked, by how crispy it feels, how firm it feels. So I often will stick my hand in the air fryer and try and feel it, but that has extremely high burn risk. I often burn my wrists on the side of the air fryer. It's not the best system. This is a really great alternative. It's sort of a modified regular spatula. Like one of these sides is typically like what you would like flip pancakes with or use in a pan. There are two here, and this is because you can use it with just one. You can flip your pancakes, but you can also use it to grip things like toast in a toaster, tofu in the air fryer, and you can feel the resistance in between them. This is also super useful when you're, say, like trying to slide cookies off a cookie sheet. I've used it for that before. Long story short, this is super, super useful for a lot of kitchen things, especially when you are blind and you can't quite see where things are and you want to either grab things, feel things, or simply like manipulate things in a pan, like cooking eggs or pancakes. So I love this little tool, super, super nifty. It also does happen to solve that whole toaster problem that everybody hates, where you stick your hand in the toaster in order to pull out the bread and you always seem to burn your hand. So you can slide these little nifty things right in. They fit, they're plastic at the tips, so you have no risk of exploding your toaster with metal or having any conduction risk. You just reach in, you grab your bread, and then you can carry it back to your plate in peace. So this is awesome. Thank you so much for watching, and please look out for future videos covering other ways of making kitchen appliances accessible, laundry machines accessible, and using tactile labels to label equipment. Thank you for watching.